Hello everyone, hello YouTube, and we're back with another speed lab. This time, we're speed labbing Lee. And this character, even though we don't see him that often, let me actually go to the game, so it's not 30 FPS. Even though you don't see him that often, in my opinion, he is quite good. He is quite good. He's quite good, decent character. But he's those kind of characters that you need to, practice with. You need to be a little bit of a specialist with him. Not that much, like he's way easier than he used to be. But he's still that kind of character. Okay, so now let's talk about Lee and let's talk about this matchup in general. Because a lot of people do say this is not a good matchup for Lee. Gaz, not Lee. For Gaz. And I kind of agree with them, but I think people exaggerate. People exaggerate a lot. They're saying that, oh, this is the worst matchup for Gaz. They're like, oh, horrible matchup. Worse than anyone else in the game. Like, people say this a lot. If you ask me, that's really not the case. But it is a bad matchup for us, 100%. But it's not that bad, and we're gonna be talking about it in general. So first, let's talk about the neutral stuff, right? How neutral works here. So one thing you need to remember is our neutral usually is with a lot of electrics, right? You do electric keep out, which is good to do. Electric keep out is always good. You go in with electric sometimes, that's always good as well. Go in with hell sweeps, go in with 442s, do your mix-ups, that kind of stuff. That's our usual neutral. But one thing you have to remember, yeah, exactly, because of 444, is electrics are not as strong. Because the Lee player, I sometimes do this against Lee players, so I literally whiff one electric, or maybe two of them. Like, I just do this, and do this. And then I just go up in their face and start sidestepping right. I just mash sidestep right. The reason I do this is because I'm predicting they're gonna forward 4. Because the elite player's first instinct, if they see an electric, is I'm gonna fucking forward 4. That's their first instinct. This man is electric me, I'm gonna do this. So I literally whiff electrics on purpose just so they start doing this. So they can't be predictable with it. So just remember that this is a very important move for Lee against Mishimas, and you have to be aware of it. You have to be aware of it. You can either duck it, but I prefer to sidestep it. So, yeah, basically predict this and bait it out. And if you bait it out and launch it once, they're gonna be much more scared. Let's say you just sidestep it right and electric it, right? They're gonna be much more scared to use it. Way more scared. Okay. So, that's it, the neutral, how you change your game plan a little bit. Be careful with the electrics, but if you do use them, just, this exists. This does exist. And it's on -5 as well, so it's really good. That, and now the other part. Back 4 exists as well. So back 4 in the neutral, when Lee players do this basically stops you from going in with a wave dash and a hell sweeping it. This is your main thing about this matchup, that you can't really, go in with without risking too much. Not to mention, this back 4 is like basically unpunishable most of the time, right? Especially if they go back for Hitman. It's possible to punish, especially if you're ready for it. Like, sometimes I even do this kind of stuff as well, but it's very hard to punish. Like, that wasn't a punish, right? That was not a punish. You have to be ready for it. But you won't be able to do this most of the time unless like you're spacing correctly and you're ready for it. So yeah, be careful of back 4. In the neutral, you have to be playing way more defensively than... I mean, you are playing defensively, usually, anyway. But against Lee, you should play even more defensively. Because the thing about Lee is he wants those counter hits. Sometimes, normal hits when it comes to this. This is a normal hit launcher as well. So, you have to play defensively. And you have to bait stuff out. You have to force the Lee player to come in and do the down back 3 against you. Do the full crouch mix up against you, into the slide, right, to whatever. Do the back 3-3 against you, or down back 3 against you. You want to make them do this kind of stuff. Because they don't want to come close, usually. They really don't want to do that. Their perfect spot is doing back 4s or forward 4s, or just being mid-range and trying to counter at you with keep out. The only other thing is, which is to be honest, a big problem in this game, when you play against Lee, you have to remember, is this move. So in the neutral, if they use this move, this is like their perfect go-to move. When they see that, oh, my opponent is playing defensively, I'm just gonna go in with this. And this is a very, very strong tool that they gave Lee, because this didn't used to be this strong in the previous game. Now it's way better, because this is hard to sidestep. This is not easy to sidestep, does chip damage. It's +3 normally, so for Lee players this is +3. And +6 if they go into Hitman. And usually they go into Hitman, by the way, so just treat it as +6. Usually treat it as +6. And the Hitman has a lot of mix-ups. We're going to talk about Hitman mix-ups later, especially after this, like something like 1+2, for example, right? We're going to talk about this later. But this is a very, very good way for Lee players to come in without too much risk, while also mixing your opponent up. It's very strong. So be careful about that. If you play too defensively, maybe they're going to start doing this. The other stuff they can also start doing is 4-4-3s just to catch you. But neutral kind of looks similar to that, which I just described. Other than that, they might start doing slides on you and stuff like that, but yeah. Okay, that's more or less about neutral. Let's talk about these moves. His actual moves. So the things you have to watch out for, I already mentioned some of them, like forward 4 and forward 4 and back 4. Like this is something you have to look out for. I'm going to talk about the mind games they have a little bit later. But a little bit of other moves, which are like a little bit more generic moves, is something like down forward 1 and down forward 2 and magic 4. Like these moves, you have to remember that he has them, especially magic 4. This is very, very important. That and down forward 4. So first let's talk about down forward 2. Not down forward 2, down forward 1. So Lee's down forward 1 is very strong, because it tracks really well to both sides. Look at this, right? It tracks really, really well. It's -1. And this can also jab crush. I think down forward 1 is down forward 1 that jab crushes, right? There's something here, it's like a setup that jab crushes, so it can jab crush in some setups. I just don't remember the setup. Maybe it's back 4, down forward 1, whatever the case. Down forward 1 is just really good. It's just really, really good. So down forward 1, usually you can't sidestep it. Try to backdash away from it. But the down forward 1 is a setup starter for a lot of League players. And what I mean by that is League players do this to forward 4. For example, right? They do this. It's like a setup starter. Or they might do this into down 3. So try not to jab after this. Because if you jab after this, this is gonna catch you. Let's say I jab here, right? There you go. Your jab just whiffed and you got launched. So it's a setup starter. And it's only -1, so you have to be careful. Like this into down 3, this into forward 4, right? Or this into another down forward 1. They might just do other stuff. Doesn't matter, right? But be careful about down forward 1. There's a lot of stuff they might do. They might do this into 1+2 if they use step a lot, so yeah. Almost forgot to mention 1+2. I'm gonna be going over this a little bit later as well. Let's mention everything else first. So down forward 2 is the other thing I mentioned. So down forward 2 is this 15 frame launch outside of a hop kick. This tracks this side, right? Has pretty good tracking to the left. You cannot sidestep this side. So usually you want to sidestep Lee to the right, but not because of the down forward 1 or anything, right? But because of everything else. This is a very, very good move. One of the reasons, by the way, is because of its high crushing utility. Look at this. Right? Your jab. Nope, no jab. So it can actually crush jabs pretty consistently after some moves. A cool kid, hello. And yeah, Merry Christmas. You have to down forward 1, it works as well. And it's a safe down forward 2, so you have to be very careful. If you want to punish this, sidestep right. Sidestep right, whiff, and whiff punish. Okay, that's about down forward 2. It's a very strong move. It's only -7 as well. So they might just down forward 2 into another down forward 2, or down forward 2 into back 4, down forward 2, forward 4. Just, yeah, be aware of this move. Okay, now magic 4. So magic 4 with the Blue Spark version, this one, it's a heat engager, right? And it's a natural. This is an 11 frame punish for Lee, basically. But this is also a countered launcher. This is hard to actually pick up, but I already tested this out. You can pick this up. It's not that easy, but it's possible. So be careful about the Magic 4. And this Magic 4 also has pretty decent tracking to the left. You can step it to the right, but the second hit will track you no matter what. So the tracking on this Magic 4 is crazy. Like the second hit sometimes will track you, sometimes won't. Depends on your sidestep block, right? But it can track you really well. I don't know why this is a thing, but it's just annoying. So the best thing to deal with this is to just duck the last high. It can be a little bit weird to duck this, but you just need to get used to it. But it's weirder because no one plays this character. You have to duck this though. This last high. You have to duck it and punish it. Okay, that's about this Magic 4. There are other Magic 4 strings as well, like this for example. Or this. The players do like to do this. And the thing about this is that this Magic 4 string is that this flip is steppable. You have to step this. Both sides. You can step it both sides. I usually step right because, you know, I step everything to the right anyway. But you have to step this because the flip is safe. It's -9. So you step, launch it. But the thing is, if you do step it, you might get caught by the mid. Let's say you see this and you try to step, you will get caught by this. But this is punishable. So it's kind of like a mini mix-up, but you don't really have to do anything, right? If you're fine with being a +9 here, there's no punish or anything. Just block it. But sidestep launch obviously is better. Obviously it's better. I'm pretty sure you can do the same after like these kind of Magic 4s as well. Oh, never mind. Never mind. Crazy. Have to sidewalk it. They track better. You can also mash there, yeah. You can also mash here. I almost forgot. I usually sidestep it, but you can mash. I think you have 11 frames here, maybe? Yeah, it's 11, but usually you can't frame it. But you're gonna get counter hit by the 3 instead of just normal hit. I don't think this has a counter launch though. Well, not launch, but probably. Yeah, it's just gonna be more damage. And it's better to sidestep anyway because it's, you know, higher damage. Okay. Yeah, you can also duck this, but it's not that easy. It's something similar on Laws, Magic 4. Not Magic 4, but 4-3. But it's not that easy to duck this. Also, just this is punishable, but usually you won't see this punish. And you won't punish it either, because it's -14 and it has pushback. Okay. I think that's about it for the flips. That flip also exists from here, for example, the down 4 into the flip. This is the other example of needing to sidestep this. And you're electric whiffing, for whatever reason. But yeah, try to punish it with whatever you LAB, right? So it's important to step this flip especially. The other one, maybe not stepping is okay because it's -10. But this one is -1. And it's -1 for Lee. So it's way better to step this. I don't know why my electric whiffs, but it is what it is. Okay. There's a chance to get rid of heat completely. I don't think there's any chance of getting rid of heat. Okay. Yeah, -1 is very, very strong. Okay. That's about those kind of flips. This flip is the exception. I guess it has better tracking, but you won't be reacting to this anyway. This is very hard to react to after just one Magic 4. Okay. Down forward 2, down forward 1. I talked about the Magic 4. Now let's talk about 1+2, right? I think this is the least best move, most likely. 1+2 is a crazy move. So let's just say what this move does for Lee. So it's a little bit on the slower side, it's 21 frames fast, it's not that fast, right? So this will open Lee up to something like electric checks. But as I said, electricing Lee is pretty scary because this move. But electrics will catch this. Most of the time it will catch this. But even though it's a bit slow, it's not that slow. 21 is okay. Now look at the frame data on this, right? It's -1 normally, and this is a tracking mid. That's already a crazy move. Already we're talking about the crazy properties. It's only -1 for Lee. And it's a tracking mid. On hit, it doesn't really do that much, right? Decent damage, 20 is pretty decent. But it's only +3. But what makes this super strong and why I say it's, you know, one of the best moves he has is because it's a counter launcher. So this into back 3-3 and you just get launched. I'm not sure if anything else launches outside of back 3-3, but this one, no, just back 3-3 into whatever, right? Into a combo, into, I don't know, you're dead basically, right? So be very careful. This is crazy strong. Crazy strong. So be very careful. When you're sidestepping a lot, this is their go-to move, and the counter launch does pretty decent damage too. Okay, now let's talk about the other property this also has. The Hitman stance. So the Hitman stance makes this move even better, which is crazy because it's already very strong. So this becomes from -1, right? From -1 to +2. It's +2 now. So if you thought it was your turn after this and maybe you start jabbing, think again. Do not do that. Because something like this, for example, will trade with your jabs, like normal jabs. Something like this will high crush it. Or something else might low crush it. And it's a mind game in general, basically. But this adds an extra layer to the mind game, which makes it +2 Hitman instead of -1 neutral. So there are two mind games to this. -1 neutral mind game and +2 Hitman mind game. So you have to choose your option accordingly, basically. They might do this into 1+2. I've seen Lee players doing this, so if you sidestep, this might catch you. Right? Because it has very good tracking. Damn, sidestep left actually works pretty well against that. I like that. They might do a 1-4. I think most Lee players do a 1-4 here. Or a 1 jab in general. Let me do this. So it will catch you if you try to sidestep left. If you sidestep right, the jab will whiff like the first one, but the kick is gonna hit you. And the kick is safe. If you sidestep right, duck, the kick is just gonna hit you. Well, last time you blocked it. It's gonna hit you now. So you have to be careful about stuff like this. And as I said, this is very strong because if you jab, let's say I jab you, that's gonna trade. If you down jab, that's fine. But if you down jab too much, obviously it's not that good. You get too obvious with it. But it's a mind game basically. This, even though it has such strong properties, so even if he goes into Hitman, let's say he goes into Hitman, right? He can still transition into the launch. So it doesn't matter, it's still a counter launcher. But the mind game is pretty good. Basically, it's really good for Lee. Very strong move. If they can just mash this, and most of the time you can't do anything about it. So they can even do this into 4-4-4. Something like this, right? And if you jab too much, let's say I jab here, right? GG's. If I jab here, GG's. Even though I'm +1, jabbing is pretty decent. That's a no-no. Right? Or they can do 1+2 into 2-2. 1+2 crouch cancel 2-2. Sometimes I see them doing that. Or some other stuff. Like, there's a lot of stuff that Lee players do. I can't cover everything, obviously. But 1+2 is an amazing move. 1+2 into full crouch down forward 4, pretty common. 1+2 slide sometimes. 1+2 while standing 4. 1+2 while standing 3-3. Like, all this stuff. Basically, remember that after 1+2, Lee players are either crouching, right? They're either crouching or in Hitman. That's basically the mind game. But the most common one is this. This is one of the most common things you'll see. 1+2 into Hitman power crush. And the reason behind it is because if you try to, do anything outside of jabbing is fine, right? I really like the jabbing option. But obviously, it's weak to 4 towards 4. You don't need to... You're gonna get launched. Or 1-2, that's fine. If you do anything else though, it's gonna beat you. So you have to be careful. Sidestep right duck can be pretty good here. It's high, but as I said, if you sidestep right duck here, you're gonna get caught by the Hitman 1-4. So you have to choose your options carefully. But I feel like mashing jabs here sometimes can be good, as long as you mash jabs and mixed up with sidestep right. I think that can be okay. But you are gonna be risking something. Sometimes you're gonna be risking a lot. So, yeah. I'm gonna tell him. Alright. So 1+2 is a seriously strong move. And you have to remember your options against it, basically. Sidestep right is good, but you can't always let the lead player get away with this, because it does way too much. It does way too much, man, because, as I said, counter launch. Not only counter launch, it does a lot of damage too. I'm pretty sure I can do way more damage than I'm doing right now, but yeah, be careful of that. Now let's talk about the other move, which is very strong. It's this one, while running 3-4. So when the lead player thinks that you're playing a little bit too defensively, which is usually, as I said, you should play defensively against this character, they're gonna do this. And this is very hard to step, because the second hit, even if you step the first one, or if the first one whiffs, can track you. Oh my god. But this is very hard to step in general. Let's say I try to step it to the right, it doesn't work. You can sidewalk it sometimes. It's possible, right? But usually it's very hard to step block. It's not easy to step block. This will catch you most of the time. If the lead player does this correctly, it's very hard to deal with. So even though it has a weakness when it comes to stepping, usually I think you sidestep left in the neutral instead of sidestep right. Makes it easier. But it's just very hard to deal with when it comes to avoiding it. Now let's talk about the block property. So on block is +3. So +3, and unlike most wall running moves, like for example Kazuya's wall running move, this one, when they block this, there is a quite decent amount of pushback. This is more plus, it's +6. But almost all wall running moves now have this kind of pushback. This one doesn't, right? This is what makes it good. Does chip damage still, 7 chip damage, pretty decent, and no pushback. That means something like Magic 4 will counter at you, right? If you try to press something. Down forward 1 will check you. You can't sidestep the down forward 1 after this either. Down forward 2 will also check you. So down forward 2, something like this. Will check you, do something too slow, like for example that, right? If you try to sidestep to the left, this will also catch you. But if you sidestep to the right, that's fine. As I said, sidestep right does beat this. But you will get caught by other stuff like down forward 1. As I said, down forward 1 tracks really well. So while rank 3-4, beware of the mind games here. They can forward 4 as well. If they're, they feel like it, they can 1+2. If you sidestep too much, they can down forward 1. They can Magic 4. They can 2-2. They have a lot of stuff here. Basically, it's a mind game. But the most important part about this is the Hitman mind game. So this is very similar to 1+2 when it comes to mind games, because it's normal mind game and Hitman mind game. The only difference is, unlike 1+2, Lee is not crouching here, right? After 1+2, Lee is crouching. So you have to worry about something like this, for example, or the slide. But in this situation, you don't have to worry about the full crouch mind game, but you have to worry about something like Magic 4, down forward 2, and neutral stuff. But now the second thing is the Hitman mind game, which is +6. So instead of -3, you're -6 now. And the options that you have are a little bit worse. So if you do a sidestep right, this 1+2, for example, will hit you no matter what. Sometimes the second hit will whiff. Sometimes, right? But usually this will hit you. Unless you play maybe some other character, maybe you can sidestep this. But this 1+2 is a very strong option and a very common option. A lot of League players do this. And the main reason they do it is because it's basically unbeatable unless you power crush or parry it. So if you power crush this, it works. You will punish this, right? You will be taking more chip damage than actually, dealing, but you can heal it up, it's fine. The other thing you can do is parry. This is what I do a lot. To be honest, I get punished for this parry when I try to do it. Because the lead players can also do a low there, obviously. But you can't do anything else about this. And the most annoying part about this move is that it's only -5 on block. So -5 on block means that they can do this, for example. Right? So they can do this, 1 + 2 into 3. So if you block it and you try to get your turn back, no. Even if you try to check him with a 13 framer, doesn't work. It's only -5. Even a 12 framer. Oh, 12 framer works. Never mind. Why does it work? That should actually absorb it. Is that not a 7 frame parry? Let me check it out. It works. Okay, I guess 12 frame check, if you have it, it will work. That's weird. I thought this was a 7 frame power crush. But yeah, 13 frame check doesn't work. You need a 12 frame one. I thought it wouldn't work, I'll be honest, but it does. But if you do check after this, they can also check you with something like a jab. They can also check you with some other stuff. Basically, be careful. If you have a 12 frame check like at least a down forward 4 or driving up down forward 4, it's gonna be like maybe okay. But I wouldn't really recommend using it too much. Because you don't always want to check the lead player after this, right? As I said, the mind game is very strong. Yeah, they can also punch parry here. They can. They indeed do that. So, be very careful about this move. That's why you usually don't want to block it. And one of the things about this is that it also has a counter property, which makes the wall splat. So you don't want to be mashing here either, because if you mash after wall rank 3-4, this is gonna wall splat you. If you're at the wall, it's gonna wall splat you. Okay. So wall rank 3-4, Hitman, it's a mind game. Not briefly, but let's just talk about Hitman because this is very important after this. The Hitman mind game here, a black, big profile map. So the Hitman mind game here works a little bit different from other Hitman mind games because of the plus frames. So you have to worry about 1 + 2 because the frame trap that you can't sidestep. Well, Kazuya can't really sidestep it. It's safe when -5 and it's a wall splat on counter. Right? It's very, very strong. That's why I parry this so much. But if you parry it, you have to worry about other options like the 4 or the full crouch low. So these are the lows that you have to worry about, basically. You do this into the low. So you worry about this. Okay, Yoshi, I'm doing exactly that. I'm literally doing exactly that. So if you duck this, you do get a launch with Kaz, right? Most of the time anyway. Like a backdash duck, you'll still get this. But if they do a Hitman 4, you won't get it. But the mind game is if you try to parry, you're gonna get countered. Right? You are gonna get countered. If you try to power crush, you're gonna get countered. So basically, that's the mind game. What you can do though, is you can fuzz it. What you do is hold back a little bit and then duck on the little bit of later frames. So you won't really get mixed up by something like 1 + 2 and this. It's not really a mix-up. Like this is not the mix-up. The mix-up here is that if you try to parry, you try to power crush, or try to do anything to get away from the situation, that's what the low is for. It's not for a mix-up situation. It's for the other situations to get a counter hit. So you have to be very, very careful. In down forward 1, I wouldn't suggest it because, as I said, this is a frame trap. This move. If you down forward 1, this is gonna counter hit you. So if you do try to press something that will counter launch them instead. So instead of like a down forward 1 against that kind of low, let me just demonstrate, right? Let's say they do the Hitman 4, which is another low. Which will counter launch you, by the way. So counter launcher, if you do something slow like a parry or a power crush. If I do a down forward 4, which is, the equivalent of a down forward 1, 13 frame check, it can check them. But might as well do something like a down forward 2 if you're playing Kaz. If If you are reading the low, might as well down forward too. And you know, whatever. Get a combo. And yeah, this low is reactable sometimes, but also for Kazuya players out there, remember this exists. I hate this, by the way. This interaction on the backdash duck, I despise it. So be very careful about this low. Even though it's minus 13, your TP is garbage. Hot garbage. So, yeah. Be careful about that. Why the backdash? Because I always backdash. Why wouldn't you backdash? After everything, I backdash once to create space. Because it's optimal to do so. And if I want to duck, I duck after a backdash. Especially because most lows are slow. It's optimal to backdash. But then TP exists and stuff whiffs. It's very annoying. But, yeah. Be very, very careful when it comes to that. He also has other options. Let's say, something like wall standing, not wall standing, Hitman 1-4. This is amazing. Because this also beats something like a power crush. So this is one of the reasons I parry instead of doing a power crush. Banana, thank you for following. So parrying here is a great option because it will beat jab. It will also beat their down forward 1 if they don't go into Hitman. It will beat the 1+2. So parrying is great, especially if you have a parry that launches them. Our parry is not that good, but at least we get out of the situation, right? At least, and we get some damage and the knockdown. But as I said, you take a lot of risk because you're gonna get counter launched if they just do the low. It's very risky, basically, very, very risky. Okay. What other options do they have? I mean, they can do a lot of other stuff, but these are the most common ones. They can also do a heat engager up forward 3 here, which is a little bit on the slower side. They can also do the 2. I see them do the 2 sometimes. But yeah, be very careful. You stall the punch parry situation. Dude, I keep saying that. Every lead is the same. Everyone mashes either a jab or 1+2 here. Sometimes when down forward 1. As I said, if you have a good punch parry, you should use it in these kind of situations. They're very predictable. If I had the good power crush, I would use good power crushes in some situations as well, but my power crush usually sucks, so I don't even think about using it. Okay. I think that's it about this. The other Hitman option is something like this, for example. Hitman up forward 3, which is a mid hit engager, which is really good. Right? It's a very, very good option. But it's a little bit on the slower side. So Lead players don't use this too much. Sometimes they will. But since this loses to a sidestep, like you do a sidestep here, you will lose. They don't use it that much. It does track to one side a little bit better than the other side. I think it tracks maybe to the right a little bit better. Yeah, to the right a little bit better. But it's very easy to sidestep. You won't have trouble sidestepping this that much. And if you mash here, you also get a float. If you do a down forward 4 check, which is the equivalent of a down forward 1, right, a 13 frame check, you also get a float, so yeah, they don't usually do this, but beware of this. The big thing to remember about this move is that the block stun is weird. Just go into practice mode and lab the block stun. The way you press after this is very, very weird. You might think that you're pressing at the right moment, but you're gonna get countered. So something like this might happen. This, and they're gonna mash like a down forward 2. On block, right? Or a down jab. I guess you're a full crouch here. I did that though, I messed up. Wait 1 second. Wait, they can transition into that? They can transition into full crouch. I did not even know that. Okay. So they can mash here, something like this. And if you're not doing mashing fast enough, this is gonna catch you. Or that's gonna happen. I don't know, man. So be careful, because the block stun is very weird here. He recovers way faster than you might think he's gonna recover. That's the one big thing about this move. And he also recovers crouching, which I didn't even know. He has the option to hold down, and he's gonna recover crouching. Maybe he's gonna slide after this. Not sure, right? Maybe down jab. Doesn't matter. That's about that move. The other one is this one, up forward 4, which you won't see in that situation that much either, but you might see in other situations. And this is usually used in the wall as a wall combo, and you won't see this in the open that much. But it's not that bad because it guarantees this. Like, that's guaranteed for Lee, right? So it's not that bad at all. But as I said, you won't see this that much in the neutral because it's pretty linear and it's pretty slow. Yeah, I already talked about the low. The 3, you won't see this in here that much either because the Lee player is plus. You usually will see it in other situations like 1+2 into 3. This I already talked about. Okay, what other Hitman move did I forget? The jab, right? I talked about the jab before, but there's also the jab here. This 1-1-1. But the mind game is very, very similar because this jab is gonna catch you anyway. The 1-1-1 usually exists at the wall. Usually, Lee players will do this 1-1-1 to get your wall splat into, you know, whatever, into a million damage. And you have to be careful about this because this is also cancelable, right? The jab into the cancel. Gotta be careful. And other than that, 1-1 by itself, this is also important, is -2. This is very, very important. So 1, just one jab is plus, and 1-1 is -2. So this mind games are really, really good when it comes to Hitman jabs. So while this is +2, this is -2. But this -2 also means that you can just high crush your jab checks, or just check your slow moves. So it's a still pretty good mix-up, or they can just do 1-1 to power crush. Which you can't check. You can't check the power crush here. So, yeah. You have to be very, very careful when it comes to that. Okay, what else? I think that's about it, right, for Hitman options. The 3, the jab. I talked about the 2 a little bit. The 2 usually exists for high crushing purposes or for people who duck. But if you sidestep it, you can sidestep it to the right. Okay. I think that's about it for Hitman mix-ups, more or less. And as I already mentioned, you have to worry about the full crouch mix-up here as well, because he can transition into crouching. So Hitman slide, for example, is a thing. Or Hitman to while standing 2. You can just cancel into a crouching move. You have to worry about this as well. So that's a full crouch mix-up. I'm going to talk about this in a little bit as well, the full crouch mix-up that Lee has. Now let's talk about the second, not the second, but the third Hitman transition, which is pretty popular, not popular, but pretty common. Down 3. Gelatine for Paul. So let's talk about down 3, and I'm going to talk about some other lows as well. So down 3 basically is one of the most common lows that Lee players use. This is something you'll see a lot. It's a -1 low. It's pretty fast, 16, right? That transitions into Hitman or doesn't. Depends on your choice. You can just transition or not, right? So this is -1 into Hitman or -1 into full crouch. So they can do a full crouch mix-up like down 3 into slide. They can do this. If only I could slide. Like, it's possible. Down 3 into full crouch, down forward 4. Or down 3 into while standing 2. It's a full crouch move, basically. In this move, even though it says -15 here, right? It can be a little bit weird to punish. Even for Kaz, this can whiff sometimes. Now look at this, right? If you backdash duck, if you like the backdash duck like I do, your twin piston might not work. It has a lot of range. But usually your twin piston is your go-to move to punish this. But it's very, very weird to punish. Also, down 3 Hitman, also exactly the same frames. So if you think the Hitman stance makes it like -16 or something, don't. Kazuya only gets a while staying 1-2 here. That's all we get. So you have to be launching it every time, but you don't get a while standing 2. Unless somewhere in the future they make while standing 2 15. Hope they do. Please. Please, bro. Because our while standing 2 is 16 frames fast. Okay. So that's about down 3 and how you punish it usually. There are a lot of setups for down 3, by the way. A lot of Lee players do this into down 3. Example, right? They might even do something like back 4 into down 3 on block. Forward 4 on block, down 3. A lot of setups for it. I won't be able to list all of them, right? But there's a lot of them. So you have to be looking out for it. So the thing about down 3 though is that it tracks pretty decently. Like, you usually won't be able to sidestep this. You can sidewalk them, but usually not. Because usually you'll be able to sidestep block, like sidestep blocking is pretty common instead of just purely sidewalking. So this is gonna catch sidesteps. You can sidewalk it though, but whenever it whiffs, remember to punish it with the down forward 1. If you try to punish this with something like an electric, it just won't work. And the down forward 1-4 punish here, the new punish that we got. Okay. So that's about down 3's sidestep tracking, but now let's actually talk about why this move is very, very strong. So one is that it's a countered launcher, right? You can counter launch if you, I think, back 3-3 here. But I think you need the Hitman, right? Now you can do it without it as well. Nice, back 3 cancels. But it's way better with Hitman. It's basically a countered launcher. It's not that hard, as long as you're a lead player and you know what you're doing, right? I forgot the timing for it. There you go. Nice. So yeah, it's a counter launcher, so you have to be very, very careful about this. And it's not that hard to pick up, I'm just an idiot. I haven't played this character for a while. Like something like this, right? Doesn't matter. That's like half your HP gone from a down 3. So it's easy from Hitman. Yeah, I know. From Hitman, it's pretty easy. I just forgot the timing. So this is very, very strong. While standing 3, this into this. Yeah, I will mention the mind games. I was just about to mention that. So the counter property is very strong, but the mind games it has is one of the reasons it's so damn good as well. So as I said, it is -1. But it has a Hitman mind game and a full crouch mind game. It's very similar to this, in a way, with a full crouch mind game. But it also transitions into Hitman. So the most common options here is either down 3 into while standing 3, which is a 10 frame check, right? Even though you can beat this with a jab, you won't be able to beat this with anything else. And they love doing something like down 3 into while standing 3-3. Because while standing 3-3 is just annoying to deal with. But down 3 into Hitman is what you want to worry about. Nearly every lead player is gonna do down 3 into Hitman. Almost all the time. Very, very common. So the Hitman options, I already told you some of the Hitman options, but because of the -1 situation, you'll see the 3 quite a lot here. So this into 3, this into jab because of the -1, this into 2 if you try to jab too much after down 3. So these are the mind games. To make it simple, the 2 exist here if you jab check. If you jab check, that's why the 2 exists. The 3 exists here if you try something slow, like a check. Let's say I try to check. I need a 13 frame check, even a 12 frame check. That's why the 3 exists. It's also tracking, right? So you have to duck this. Tracking high. You can sidestep right duck here, which is a great option in my opinion. After down 3, it's pretty good. This also beats the 2. But yeah, that's why the 3 exists. There's also the jab, which basically means either the jab or the 1-4. Usually you'll see the 1-4. The 1-4 exists for everything else. Because this you won't be able to do anything about if you do your movement options. Let's say I sidestep right and try to electric. You're gonna get counter launched. Right? Doesn't work. Even if I jab here, let's say I try to sidestep to a jab, this is still pretty risky. Because you can't react. You have to do a sidestep jab instantly. There's no reaction. If you duck, it's gonna hit you, so this is hard to deal with. But if you jab, you're gonna beat it. But as I said, if you jab, he has the Hitman 2 to launch you. To be like very, very simple about it, these are like the very, very simple mind games. And if you play too defensively, let's say you just don't do anything, right? Just hold back all the time after down 3. They won't do the 3, the 2, or the jab, but what they will do is mix you up with lows, with either like Hitman lows or full crouch lows. This is very common, by the way. This into full crouch down forward 4. This into Hitman low. It can be very common if you play too defensively. So that's why sidestep right duck is something pretty good to do, even though something like 1-4 is gonna catch you. But side step right duck is still good. Because you're gonna duck this, and you're gonna duck this. And they might slide as well, so if they slide, you're also gonna duck the slide. Okay, to make it simple, that's basically how down 3 mind games work, more or less. But they can also just not go into Hitman and just spam down 3. I see Lee players do this sometimes. Right? Sometimes I do this myself. When I played Lee, which was a long time ago, I do down 3 into down 3. I annoy the fuck out of people. Then do down 3 into down 3 Hitman, and then power pressure. Right? There's a lot of mind games here. They can like be creative with it. They can risk a lot. Like doing multiple down 3s is not that risk-free. It's very risky, but they might do it. Yeah, double mid punch. Like this is a double mid punch. This is one of the options as well. And this is also really strong because it's very hard to sidestep. Very, very hard. Okay. What else? I think that's about it for down 3 mind games with Hitman. More or less. Now let's talk about the other lows. So the thing about Lee is, in my opinion, is that you don't want to do anything too much against Lee offensively, as I already said, and you want to force him to use lows. And the lows he has is down back 3, down back 3 plus 4, rocks hello, and back 3 3. It's basically these and down 4. You won't see down 4 too much in the neutral unless it's for counter hits. I'm going to talk about down 4 a little bit separately. So let's talk about down back 3 first. So down back 3 is a 20 frame low. It's similar to a stature kick, something like this. But unlike ours is good, right? Ours is great because it's plus 4. This is not plus 4. It does less damage as well. It's only 12 damage. So this is minus 1. So they don't really want to use it, even though this is their best low. In my opinion, this is their best low. It doesn't have a counter property either. Like, this is not that good. But you need to force them to use this kind of stuff. And you also need to force them to use other lows as well. Well, the other one is slide, obviously, right? But I'm going to talk about full crouch mix-up immediately after this. So this is 1. Minus 1 is not that big of a deal. They can do stuff like this, which can be annoying. Like, very annoying, to be honest. Down back 3 into down 4 2. You jab and this happens and you're like, fuck this game. Disgusting game, right? Why does this exist? So be careful about jabbing here. Or sidestepping to the left. Sidestep right is usually where you want to go. I hate down forward 2 so much. That down forward 2 shouldn't exist. Like, having a safe option against jabs like that is not okay. So yeah, that's a setup. Down back 3 into down forward 1 is also a setup. I think this will just catch you sidestepping basically. You can sidestep block, but you won't be able to, you know, avoid it. You can jab check this, but as I said, the down forward 2 will just kill you. So be careful about jab checking. It's kind of fucked up. So down back 3 into magic 4 is also common, or down back 3 into sidesteps. Yeah, magic 4 is pretty common here. You have to be ready for this kind of stuff. Down forward 1 is weak to his left side. I wish. I wish, bro. I can't step this. I wish it was weak to his left side. Maybe Kazuya sidestep sucks. Who knows? I can't step it. It's fucking tracking down forward 1 for me. For me anyway. Okay. So yeah, magic 4 is pretty common there as well. So be careful about down back 3. Careful about it. But as I said, you kind of want to force them to come close to you and start using this. Because as I said, if they're close, at least coming close, they're gonna be vulnerable to electrics. But it's a mind game, right? Because forward. As I said, it's not a good matchup for Kaz, because it's very annoying to deal with this move. You can't electric freely because of this. But it's not that bad either. If you play the mind games correctly and actually bait it out, it can work. Now let's talk about this one. So this is on a little bit of a slower side. It's more reactable as well, even though it's only 1 frame difference. The big thing about this low is that it has a very specific animation. Like, nothing looks like this, basically. It's very, very specific. This is the one low that's like a stature kick. That's like 1 frame slower than stature kick. It's +4, right? Exactly like our down back 4. That's pretty good damage too. And also gives a guaranteed follow-up. So this move is pretty good. But animation-wise, it looks reactable a little bit. But it's pretty good. It looks like it doesn't hurt at all. It looks like it, but it hurts a lot. That's 19 damage. It does more damage than my down back 4. So yeah, it hurts. So be careful about this. In the mind games, it's like a +4 mind game. With, you know, down forward once checking you, down forward 2 checking you. So sidestep right is pretty common, but that's why you will see a lot of Lee players mash 1+2. They'll do stuff like this, basically. Even after down back 3, they might 1+2. And why not? Why would you not? Right? Why would you not 1+2? This move is pretty damn strong. Ground kick repel. So this kind of setups, you'll see a lot. Let's say you get hit by this, right? Sidestep right, duck, you will get hit. If you just sidestep right, you will block this. But even if you block it, it's still a good situation for Lee. So that's why they will use this a lot. It's a very, very good move. If you want to like do something against this, you have to mash. Basically, you have to mash. But as I said, animation-wise, this is a little bit iffy. And it's -13. So especially if you play Kaz, you can get that Twin Pistons. Unless you're me and you're doing backdash blocks all your life, and this never whiffs. Not never whiffs, always whiffs. Like, I despise this, man. I despise it. But if you're in close range, you launch it. It's -13. Yeah, Lee basically wants you to mash. So Magic 4 after that is also common, because, you know, it's a counter move. They might back 4 as well. They might forward 4. Basically, they're trying to make you mash. Okay. So the down back 3, I almost forgot to mention this as well, is -12. So that's why I think this is a way better low to use against someone like Kaz especially than this. This is way better, but property-wise, like frame-wise for example, or damage-wise, is way worse. But at least the animation is not that reactable. And it's also less minus. You won't get launched by Twin Pistons because of it. Okay. That's about that low. Down 3, down back 3, down back 3 +4. Then forgot anything? Down 4. Okay. So let's talk about down 4. The down 4 has a very, very different purpose from the other lows I just mentioned. While other lows can work as mix-ups, like even down 3 can work as a mix-up. Of course, the countered move as well. This, I think, is specifically a countered move. You can use this as a mix-up tool, but it's -14 on hit, right? And the low, if you do double low, is -16. Right? Stuff like that. Yeah, and round ender, yeah. They round end with this a lot. I'm gonna be talking about all the properties here. But what you have to worry about is this into the highs. This is what you worry about. So this into the highs is a lead player thing that you have to duck, right? Just duck after this. After down 4, you just have to duck anyway. And wait out the 2 hits. Don't wait out the 1 hit. Wait out the 2 hits. And then punish this. Right? That's usually the best way to go for this. The reason behind it is because this is all natural. This is also all natural and counter it. So this is more of a counter it low. It's 12. This is a 12 frame low heat engager, basically. Heat engage and counter it. I just messed it up, but it's pretty damn good. That's one of the main things, like main usages of this low, down 4. So you have to duck on hit. The other usage also, the other usage also is as a round ender. Like they might just spam this. It's the triple low to round end this. So imagine you have like 1 HP. Usually if they want a low, they might try this. And the way to deal with this is you don't punish this, right? You shouldn't punish this. What you do is low parry it. You have to low parry it. After the first block, this is like the best thing to do. This is hard, right? Obviously. But this is what you have to do. You duck into a low parry. And the good thing is, the low parry also works on hit. So if you get hit by this, you can low parry on hit. I don't know if a lot of people know this, but this is also possible. It's hard to react to, it's pretty fast. But it's possible. You can low parry on hit and or block. So duck low parry usually is what you want to do, because they usually will do a wall combo. You're like one hit away from death. They're gonna choose the low, which is usually this one. If you do duck, just make sure to duck and then low parry to beat this specific move. That's how we beat it. Because you don't want to block everything. Trust me, you don't want to block it. Because even though this is a lot of minus, so this is a triple low into the mid string, it's minus 20, right? Even if in the neutral you don't want to block this. Even though it's a lot of mines, as I said, the most annoying part about this is that it transitions. Oh my god. It transitions into Hitman. That's very annoying. This makes it very hard to punish. So let's say you do block all of this, right? You see that? Instead of minus 20, it becomes minus 11 for him now. So it's very hard to punish. You don't want to block this. Pick of him for pop. So yeah, be careful. You want to low parry this. On hit. If you fail the second one, do the third one. Right? If they do use it in the neutral, at least do this. I am. What else here? Any other lows to talk about? Outside of the full crouch ones. I'm going to talk about full crouch in a bit. Okay, I think that's it. Now let's talk about full crouch. Down 3, I already talked about down 3. Okay, now let's talk about this full crouch mix-up. So Lee's full crouch mix-up is one of the scariest thing you have to worry about, basically. So full crouch slide and full crouch down forward 4 are the basic low options, right? The slide is pretty common, but the slide is not that scary, unlike, you know, Shaheen's, for example, or Law's. It's still pretty scary, but it's not that scary. The main thing about the slide is that while standing 3 is the main follow-up. A lot of Lee players love doing a slide into wall standing 3. Can't fucking slide. The main reason behind this is because it's plus 3. Right? Plus 3 into a check. They can also wall standing 4 check here. These two options are pretty damn common. Right? And you can't really do anything about this. Usually you won't be able to check this. And the main reason behind it is not only because it's the plus 3 situation, but also because the frames change. If you look at the frames, that was plus 5, right? That was plus 8. So depending on the range, it's more and more plus. So you won't be able to check this or even power crush it most of the time. Because most of the time, the frames are gonna be way higher than plus 3. Normally, it's plus 3. But the further away Lee is, and you just get hit by the slide, the frames change. So if they do want to check you, they will check you very, very well because of how high plus they are. Like wall standing 4 is almost always gonna check you, wall standing 1 might check you. Wall standing 2 might be a mix-up and a check at the same time, so it can be very, very strong. Have to be careful about this. They can also do a double slide. If you respect this too much, they're going to slide again. You know? Just slide and slide until you actually do something about it. Okay. That's about the slides plus frames. After slides, as I said, the wall standing 4 or wall standing 3-3 is the most common checks. They can also wall standing 2-4 or wall standing 2-3. Now let's talk about wall standing 2s. So wall standing 2 in general is the most common mid mix-up that the Lee players use to mix up their slides. And wall standing 2 has 2 follow-ups, wall standing 2-4 or wall standing 2-3. So wall standing 2-3 is the launcher with heat burst. They do this into whatever, right? And they do pretty good damage. This is basically their launcher with heat burst. And wall standing 2-4 is their wall splitting option that's also safe. So the big difference between these two is that this is minus 13 and this is a high and it's minus 2. So the minus 2 is very important to realize because a lot of the players mash here, right? They mash. And that's the main reason. That's why they mash. It's only minus 2. And it also has pushback. So be very, very careful about this situation after you block this. And usually they use it at the wall, but they might also use it in the neutral if they don't want to get punished by the mid they're getting blocked. Messed up the combo. So yeah, be very, very careful about that. And the one thing also, which I don't do myself, but it's possible, just so every one of you to know as well, is that you can also fuzzy this. This is fuzzyable. So while saying 2-3 or while saying 2-4, you can actually fuzzy the high and the mid. If you do practice this and you play against Lee enough, it's possible. So what I mean by that is, let me actually showcase this. I was not recording. So if they do a while standing 2 in general, and you see the while standing 2 come out, you can fuzzy the high and the mid. So what you can do is something like this. Right? You just duck in the later stages of the move, later frames, and you will always duck the high and you will always block the mid. But the main thing is, the high has some lingering frames. But it is possible. As you see, I'm ducking the high and always blocking the mid. If you do fuzzy this, it's possible. And obviously you punish the... I just fucked up. Obviously you punish the mid. And you also punish the high. If you practice this, this is possible. In real matches, it's a little bit awkward to do because you have to react to a while standing too, but it's possible. 100% it's possible. If you want to make the lead player hate himself, you do that. Okay. As I said, that's the main mid mix-up. Hana think from home. Okay, what else? So while saying 1-2 is a thing as well, but it's not that common because, you know, there's a high there, you have to duck this. While saying 3-3, let me talk about while saying 3-3 a little bit. So while saying 3-3 is a mind game mid, which usually is -15. So the mind game is a 3-way mind game here. So 1 is -15 mid-mid. You have to launch this, right? I can't electrocute it. That was not a launch. But yeah, you have to launch it. Or either down forward 1-4. Right? You have to be able to do a 15 frame punish here. But if you do a 50 frame punish here, there are follow-ups, like this mid follow-up, for example. So if you try to do this, let's say I try to punish this, you'll get countered by the follow-up. Now you have to guess that the follow-up is coming. Right? If the follow-up is coming, you have two options to do. One, if you guess the mid, usually you sidestep right. You sidestep right the mid. You can also block the mid, but there are additional mind games after that. Because then you have to guess if they're gonna do the high afterwards or not. Because if they do the high, you can't punish the mid. If they don't do the high, you won't punish the mid. And you have to duck and additional mind games, basically. You don't want that. So sidestep right usually for the mid. And the duck for the low. Usually that's how it works, right? But the thing about this ducking situation is that if you duck this, you have to worry about the high as well. You have to wait for the high. Wait for the high while staying too. Or if you want to make it easy for yourself, low parry this. But Kazuya low parry kinda sucks, so yeah. Beware of that. So the mind game is the AAA mind game there, right? Either punish while staying 3-3 by itself, which is -15. Don't punish it sidestep right for the mid follow-up, punish the mid follow-up. Or low parry the low follow-up. Three-way mind game. You have to worry about all that stuff. It is a mix-up. Alright. That's all while staying 3, more or less. Okay, what else to talk about from the full crouch? Full crouch down forward 4, I also talked about a little bit. But it's a -14 low, basically. You have to twin piston this. And the on-hit, he's minus. But this has the same kind of mind game as this. It's very similar. It's a more minus than down 3, but it's a very, very similar mind game. When it comes to doing this into another full crouch, for example, right? He's full crouch. Or this, exactly the same. He is full crouch. But it's like a 2-frame difference. It's either this into Hitman, or into this into another full crouch. So yeah. Twin piston doesn't have enough range, I agree. Sometimes it whiffs. But if you're close enough, you should be able to punish this. Okay. I think that's about it for that. And now let's talk about Heat a little bit. So the main thing about Heat, Lee's Heat, is that all his blue sparks, something like this for example, right? This blue spark, or this blue spark, all of these blue sparks just happen normally. He doesn't need to actually, you know, just frame them. It's the same with this. So this is the main thing you have to worry about, in my opinion. The 3-3. It is a high that you can react to. But it's very annoying, basically. Because that's just natural. Even on block, you can't block this, by the way. This is an unblockable. So if you do get hit by the high, or block the high, that just happens. So you have to worry about that. It's like a priority when using heat. So you react to this, and duck it. And then you launch it, obviously. But you have to react to it, basically. Okay. The other thing about heat, which you have to worry about as well, is his heat smash. This is the biggest thing in my opinion. His heat smash is very good, especially for a character like Lee who struggles with lows. So the heat smash is a -14 low smash. It's very similar to Kazuya's in that regard. It used to be -15, but now it's -14. So Lee players will use this way more, and they'll force you to duck, basically. Struggles, I mean, he doesn't really struggle, but his lows are a little bit riskier than some others, right? Like back to the 3 is something I have to still talk about too. But yeah, worry about the heat smash is basically the main thing, and the other stuff is like a little bit secondary. Now let's talk about back through 3 and back 1 and forward 4. I think these 3 things are the ones left. So back through 3 basically is their low when they get annoying at you playing too defensive. If you're playing too defensive and they're like this guy just never ducks. This guy never ducks. They're gonna back through 3. They might even back through 3 into back through 3. So if they get annoyed, that's what they're gonna do. But obviously this is a launch punishable low. Right? Obviously. You can wall stand too. Or if you want to be like super optimal with it, you can also wall standing 1-2. The reason behind wall standing 1-2, by the way, is for you to punish this. But this can also whiff, because Twin Pistons is an amazing move. Amazing move, right? But if you want to be super optimal, you Twin Pistons. Because if they do just the back 3, which some League players do, it will also punish that. But the wall standing 2 will not punish that. But usually they back through 3. Now back through 3 after on hit, they usually down forward 1, 1+2, or do it again. This, or down back 3, or do it again. Right? It's basically a mix-up. It's a mind game after this. And it's a +4 mind game, +4 for Lee mind game. Down forward 1 will basically check you, and like any kind of side steps or anything you do, it will check you. I don't think you can even power crush through it, not Kazuya's anyway. If you have a good power crush, maybe. You can punch parry it, but I wouldn't really recommend it. So that's about down forward 1, so something like this. You can't do anything about this, by the way. Nope. Nope. Right? You have to punch parry it. Or if you have a good power crush it. But that doesn't punish him. Like Kazuya is a little bit too slow. So down forward 1 is an amazing option. And 1+2 is also a great option for them, because if you try to step into a button or try a very slow button, this will counter launch you. And as I said, 1+2 is a great button in general, because on block it's crazy. It's just crazy on block. It's very strong. And obviously on hit and on counter it's really good too. Okay, that's a 1+2. And the other thing I mentioned is like some other options, like back through 3 into back through 3, or down back 3, or down back 4 here, for mix-up purposes, right? So you have to respect it sometimes. Sometimes you don't always have to respect it. I sometimes even mash down forward too. The reason behind it is, as I said, that they like doing something like this, 1+2. They'll just mash down forward 2 and get that counter. Or if they like to do something slow, like back 3-3 into another back 3-3, and they messed up the timing, you might catch them with the down forward 2. Usually you won't, but you might. Or back 3, down back 3, you will catch the down forward 2. So it is possible, but it's kind of risky. It is risky. In both regards of this being punishable and you getting countered. And they might also do back 3 into a sidestep, right? Back 3 into a sidestep here. They might do something like this. So the mind games are a lot. This is a great move, but it's launch punishable. So, yeah. I think Lee benefits from this move a lot. I mean, a lot. Because as I said, usually he doesn't have that low that will make you too scared for your life. But this is it. This is one of them. Alright. Now let's talk about the two blue sparks. Forward 4-1, this one. So this is a double high, which you might see Lee players use for pressure purposes. Right? And this also has a mix-up with forward 4-3, because there is a mid here. So you won't always duck this. But the one is a wall splat, and it's also plus. So the reason I want to talk about this is because of the plus frame it gives. So you kind of want to duck this at the wall. At the wall, you usually want to duck forward 4, because even if you get hit by the mid, this one, it's not that big a deal. Right? That's not that big a deal. I'm just showcasing, I'm just ducking. Nothing much happens, but you don't want to press. No matter what, just don't press. But yeah, there's a +5 mix up here. As I already talked about, this +5 means down forward 1. It means full crouch mix up at the wall. Maybe if you respect it too much, they might do a magic 4 to counter it you. They might down forward 2, which is pretty common because it's +5, right? Down forward 2 will be pretty good here. 1+2 to catch you stepping, stuff like that, you know. The basic mind games for Lee, the +5. But you just have to duck it. That's a high. You have to duck this. The other one is back 1-1-2, this one, and back 1-1+2. And the thing about back 1-1+2 is that this is way harder to duck because you're usually expecting this mid. But this is not plus. Unlike the other one, this is only -6. But does a lot of chip damage. 10 chip damage is a lot. So you have to worry about the back 1-1 and the back 1-1+2. And as we all know, the back 1-1 is cancelable as well. So you can get very annoyed by this, basically. You have to worry about this a lot. So sometimes you're forced to mash. Sometimes they're gonna do this and to cancel 1+2. Because they will see you sidestepping after back 1, right? So this is very common. This into cancel 1+2. Or this into 1+2. Or this into Hitman 1+2. Stuff like this, right? There's a lot of mind games here. The thing about this is that the last hit here is a high. If you think the high is coming, you duck it. You have to duck it and launch it. There you go. Because if you don't, obviously, you can't punish this. And the back 1-1 Hitman is a mind game to you ducking. You can't really punish this or anything. Because as you see in the frames, he's only -1. So this is super strong. Back 1-1. And it's usually used at the wall for Lee players. Usually at the wall. And it has a mind game mix-up, just like down 3 does. But with a slight pushback. Like the frames are exactly the same as well. This, -1. On hit, -1. Very similar Hitman mix-ups. 4-4-2, I did not, I forgot. Oh, that's how the just frame works. I forgot how the just frame worked on this. So yeah, 4-4-2 is another blue spark I forgot to mention. This is basically a high demon paw. Basically. Hello, thank you for following. That I think you usually see as a check in the neutral or at the wall. The thing about this is that it's a chip move that also counter launches. With a very good range, basically. So 4-4-2, you won't see this that much because it has some weaknesses. You can duck it, I think you can sidestep it. But it is a pretty damn good move. It's not bad at all. Especially if they blue spark it. It's a little bit awkward to blue spark in my opinion. Maybe I'm just not used to it. Maybe, I don't know. I never played this game. But it's also plus. So at the wall, if you do block this, you're -2. -2. Have to be careful about the 4-4-2. And if they have heat, they don't need to blue spark it. As I said, they can just, mash it. Oh yeah. Now let's talk about 4-4-3. So this move is basically his demon paw. Right? It's a 14 frame demon paw that usually has a little bit better tracking than other demon paws as well. It goes to misstep for more plus frames. Well, I didn't even know that. Oh, +5. There we go. Thank you to Twitch chat. So, Yeah, be careful about this. It's basically plus. I have to worry about all that. And also chip damage. But as I said, it has its weaknesses. You can duck it and I think you sidestep to the right as well. Okay, now let's talk about 443. So 443 is basically like a Mishima Demon Paw, but faster. It's not faster than Jin's, but it's faster than Devil Jin's and Kazuya's. It's 14 frames fast. It has pretty decent tracking as well. And it's a heat engager just like all the others I just mentioned. So it's very, very good. Very damn good. It has very good range if you know, use it correctly as well. It's very hard to whiff it if you like get close and then use it. So it's very, very good. 443 is very, very good. And you have to basically deal with it the whole match if you play neutral and sidestep a lot. And yeah, it has a very good pushback as well. Like the pushback is crazy. Like the Demon Paws, their pushback were nerfed, for example, right? Their pushback was nerfed, but this still has crazy pushback, so it has no risk on block. Basically, the lead player does not get punished for this. They might even mash after this, so be very careful about the pushback. If you want to avoid this, you have to sidestep it, either left or right. Just gotta sidestep it. Read it and step it and launch it. And in heat is a launcher. So yeah. I'm a lead player. Let's go. But yeah, in heat it's a launcher. You don't want to get hit by that. You really do not want to get hit by that. That's a lot of damage, especially if they go to the wall. And if a wall exists, usually they go to the wall. Usually. Unless you're playing on Yakushima or something. Okay. Is that it for heat? 443 heat engager is one of the best ones. I almost forgot to mention 2-2 as well. Okay. So 2-2 is also one of the neutral tools he does like to use. It's like a checking tool. Like they might do this into 2-2. The same way they use Magic 4, they might use 2-2. Usually at the wall though. Usually. And the main thing about 2-2 is that it's basically like a G-clef, right? On counter hit, everything here is guaranteed. On hit, it's not guaranteed. But the thing here is that it's a mind game. The mind game here is they either finish the high, and you punish it, right? Or they don't finish the high because they usually try to hit confirm this, by the way, not to hit, counter hit confirm this. And they just get stuck here and you punish this. So it's very important to punish this, by the way. Very, very important. With anything. Just have to punish it with anything. Because you can't let the elite players get away with using a G-clef that wall splats that does like 50 damage. You can't let them get away with that. Because if this works, let's say this will work, right? They do this, into that. I messed up, but that would be like half your HP as damage. So you can't let them get away with trying something like that. It can be risky to punish it, but sometimes it's worth it. Sometimes it really is worth it. Just to force them to use the high. Because if you force them to use the high, you're gonna duck it next time. And then launch it. So yeah. Okay. Am I forgetting to talk about something? Right. I think that was mostly it, right? Mostly. Oh yeah, these two moves. Gotcha, Andrej. So let's talk about this one. I think this is way more important. You don't see this used that much, and for good reason. It's pretty slow, linear, and a high. You won't see this used that much. It is a plus ray move. It's +5, but usually you'll see this move. Let's talk about this one. So this is a +4 move that makes lead players going to full crouch and does like 9 chip damage. So it's a full crouch mix-up immediately after the +4, and usually you'll see a while staying 4 check, while staying 3 check, while staying 2-4 as a mix-up option, which also works as a check because it's 14 frames, or a full crouch low, or a full crouch slide. So it's basically full crouch mix-up after +4. The same thing I talked about when I was talking about the full crouch mix. All of those options exist. But you just have to worry about the plus frames, because while staying 4 and while staying 3-3 is going to check you. But I already talked about those kind of stuff when it comes to like while staying 4 checks, and wall stand 3-3 checks, especially something like this into wall stand 3-3, right? Stuff like that. Or something like this, hitting you into wall stand 3-3. It's basically the same mind games, but you also have to worry about the plus frames. And you also have to worry about not being able to step one direction, which kinda sucks, because it forces crouch on you. And this is different because this is neutral, but to be honest, you won't have to worry about this move that much. But yeah, I think that's it, right? I think that's it. I covered most stuff. Oh, I didn't mention back 4. Am I an idiot? Dude, Andrich, thank you for mentioning back 4. How did I not mention this? I'm an idiot. Holy fuck. Okay, good shit. Back 4 for last. Okay, so let's mention back 4. Back 4, by the way, this move. This move, whenever elite players use this, it's usually a misinput for back 4. I would know because whenever I play Lee, I just fucking spam this because I can never back 4 for my life. But back 4, to like briefly talk about this, it's a plus frame high that does chip damage, tracking move, and it's a normal hit launcher. It's pretty damn good, right? It is pretty damn good. But usually, the players, whenever they use this, it's a misinput. Trust me. Sometimes they might use it on purpose, but yeah. It's +2, and with Hitman it becomes +5. So worry about that. For neutral back 4, yeah, I mean, I'm not a lead player, so I'm messing up. But now let's talk about back 4. So back 4, I think, is a even more underrated move than I think. Oh, Medusa Stamp, thank you for the sub, man. I really appreciate it.
I activate my
Really appreciate
card.
it. I just saw that as well. Big thank you. And Rocky also thank you for follow. Okay, now let's talk about back 4. So back 4 has a lot of properties, this move, bro. So this move is -3 on block, right? Normal -3. And don't let this -3 fool you. The block stun is also very, very short, which means that lead players smash the fuck out of this move. They're gonna do this into this. They're gonna do this into another this. Do this into this. They're gonna do a lot of stuff. They're gonna do a lot of stuff, basically. Get TAC 2. Oh, I might try that. That can be fun. I've never played TAC 2, so that might be fun. Let me finish this first. Let me finish the speed lab. Okay, so back 4, as I said, they mash magic 4 here a lot because of the -3 property. So you can't really do something like a health sweep or anything, right? This is very common. You have to be ready for the magic 4 into the high. You have to duck this. Basically, you have to duck it. Back 4 down 3, very common. This is so damn common, by the way. Main reason is because it's -3, usually jab. Usually jab means they have to high crush. You jab, especially if you 1-1, you're gonna get counter launched. Down 3, very common, right? You have to worry about that. So you kind of have to respect back 4 on block. And respecting back 4 on block, it's a great move, so you kind of feel like not respecting it. And back 4 Hitman, -2 to -1. I think it's becomes 0 sometimes as well. Depending on the range. That's -1. I don't think I can make it 0, but yeah, it's very strong. Very, very strong. And they will usually do back 4 Hitman Power Crush, back 4 Hitman 1+2, or back 4 Hitman Jab Check 1-4. You have to worry about a lot of stuff, basically. And the big thing to worry about is whenever they do back 4 Hitman in the open. By the way, every lead player does this. Everyone. I see Super Akuma do this. I played against him once and he was doing it. They're gonna whiff this, go into Hitman, then Power Crush. If they see you coming close, they're gonna do this and Power Crush while whiffing it. So basically imagine this kind of situation. You're in the neutral against Lee, right? And they're gonna back 4 and you try to go in because you see a back 4 whiff. They're gonna Power Crush. That's why it's important to wait it out after back 4 and respect the Hitman. Sometimes it's important to do that. Okay. And when it comes to back 4's properties, everyone knows the counter launcher. Yeah. That does like million damage, so you don't want to get countered by this. That's why, as I said, you have to be very, very patient against Lee. Play a little bit less aggressive. But the other thing, which I also don't think a lot of players know, is that this move works very, very well as a mid mix-up. I don't know why they don't use this mid mix-up. The main reason behind it is because it has a special property that if you duck against it, it knocks you down. So it's a mid mix-up if you duck against it. So normally it doesn't knock you down, right? If you duck against it, it knocks you down. That's the main difference. And not only does it knock you down, the up back 3 is guaranteed, or low like this, or something like this. All that's guaranteed. Yeah, on duckers, it basically knocks them down. So it's super, super good as a mid mix-up, because, you know, they're ducking. And it's -3. And it's a guaranteed up back 3. I think you have to dash after it as well. Might mess up you. Yeah, you have to dash a little bit. So it's very, very strong. It's very, very good. So back 4, very good move. Also on the whiff, it's impossible to punish. Like, when say impossible, trust me, it's basically impossible. It's possible, kinda, but it's very hard to punish. Very, very hard. Unless you're super ready for it. Space correctly. I think I talked about this at the start as well. Space correctly. Whiff punish it with a good move with decent enough range. But yeah, it's hard. Especially if they transition to Hitman, because of the spacing this creates. The one thing I would mention, like as an advice to whiff punish with Gauze, is back 4, forward 4, 2, forward 3, or electrics. Usually those 4. I think the easiest one's forward 4, 2, but you might get caught by them doing Hitman power crush. Yeah. I think that's it. If I did forget something, I'm not sure. 3, down forward 4, and the power crush. Ah, true, dude. I'm so thankful I decided to do Twitch chat speed labs again, because I keep forgetting some stuff. Like, how did I forget the power crush heat engager? Oh my god. Okay. So the 3 is not worth mentioning that much. This is usually for League players, but this, to like briefly mention this, is basically the League player's way of checking you. Stepping, which is also safe to do. It's like a fast way of checking. 1+2 is their slow way of checking you, and 3 is their fast way of checking you, because this is basically a tracking move as well. You can sidewalk this to the left, this move right here, but usually, as I said, you want to sidestep to the right, and this will track you to the right. This covers his weak side. You can sidewalk left, but you can't sidestep left, so 3 is amazing in general. And 3-3 is natural as well, which is confirmable. It's a pretty damn good move. Down forward 4-4, briefly mentioned this. It's a 13 frame move that you have to duck. It's something similar to this, when you have to be ready for it and you have to duck this. There's nothing else to actually talk about when it comes to down forward 4. You can also sidestep this to the right, like that. But the big thing, which I can't believe I forgot, is the power crush heat engager. This shit. That shit is so annoying. Oh my god. Okay, so that power crush heat engager is a very, very common tool for League players to just mash when they're minus. If you see them being minus ever, you have to think that they're gonna mash this. And you'll see League players defend this move. Like, oh, at least it's not Azucena's or Victor's, even though it's literally the same move. It's a bit slower, but it's basically the same move. And it looks like a mid, yeah, it does. It really does. So this is a high power crush heat engager. And it's very strong, basically. Because it makes Lee very hard to get into, even more than he usually is. It doesn't launch or anything, obviously, but it's very strong. It is very, very strong. And the main way to deal with this is either duck it, or sidestep it. Sidestep right is your way to go, basically. It is your way to go. Okay. You don't want to duck against this character. As I said, back 4 will, you know, knock you down into guaranteed down back 3. You don't want to duck against him. Or he might just randomly throw out a hop kick, because the League players love randomly throwing out hop kicks. Okay, now that should be it, right? Right? For fuck's sake. Yeah, we did talk about infinite kicks. We did. While standing 3, I even talked about down 4. But yeah, I think that's it for today, boys. Big thanks for watching YouTube, and I'll see you guys in the next speed lab. Till then.